Good morning. Denise Dryden here. I'm in Bainbridge Island out in front of a sweet little store called the Heart of Bainbridge, and it's got a deck with the top on it because it's raining out. So I thought I would get some fresh air and talk to you a little bit about the gift of learning how to work. And this came up today or this week after having two conversations with some mid-20-years who are in management roles in retail, right? So one manages high school students and runs a little retail store in a small town, and the other one manages a coffee house that is both high school and college, and a really busy coffee house, and kind of manages the staff. And I asked them about some insights about what's going on with kids and work and what are their opinions. And they had some really interesting things to say, so I thought I would sort of focus on that today. So the purpose of this video today is going to be talking to parents about how to get your kids into jobs, how to get them into work, and why we want to do this and what the motivation is. So I hope that you find this interesting. So the first thing is that what we found out in this conversation is that most of these students are working because their parents told them they had to get a job, right? You have to have a job. I'll pay for school, I'll pay for everything, but you have to have a job because they want to encourage job experience, right? And yet at the same time there's this disconnect. They're there because their parents told them they had to have a job. They usually don't need the money, or they don't value the money, because to them it's like $8 an hour. What am I going to do with that? Or if there's tips, it's still there's no value on it, so they don't value the money that they're making. The other thing is that there's no buy-in for them being there. They're doing this because they're appeasing you as parents, right? You told them to get a job, so they're appeasing you. They're not motivated. The general characteristics are they arrive late, or they try to get out of their shifts when something comes up. They don't cover each other's shifts. I had an instance where one of these managers was trying to study for a test and trying to get their shift covered, and what was happening over and over again was this lack of, I've got something to do that day, or if I don't have something to do, I'll find something to do, I just don't want to work. And it was a really interesting dilemma, was having an active workforce but not having a very motivated workforce. And then there's a lot of this power struggle going on, which is, I'm not sure that I respect you as a boss. I'm not sure that I know how to respect a boss. I don't know that my job really matters to me, so it doesn't really matter if I have it or not. You can fire me if you need to. So this has been the constant challenge. So the first thing I wanted to bring up was this concept of cause and effect, meaning that if there's a lack of a tie-in to the money that they're earning, there's no motivation to earn money. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that they're invested in some way in needing that money that they make. When we as parents cover all of our children's expenses, we take away all of their motivation, all of their skills of trying to manage that by themselves. Retail jobs are a minimum wage, and at a minimum wage, let's say they work 20 hours a week. That's $250, right? That'll cover a cell phone bill. That'll cover car insurance. I have a whole list of things. That'll cover car insurance and gas. That can cover, hi Andre and Kelly, I'm so glad you're here. It will cover food for the day. They can take care of their own lunches. They can always pack something at home, but if they work, they can take care of their own coffee, food, movie theaters, all of the things that they want cash for throughout the day. It can even cover their clothes, depending on what your parental guidelines are. It can cover things like their SAT fees, their tutoring. If they need help in school, have them pay for their own tutoring with their own work. Then they will not use those flippantly. Have them cover their co-pays with a therapist if they want. Anything that you can do to get them to buy into that cause and effect, which is, I need this job. I need this money because when I have this job, then I can pay for this. Then we instill a value that wasn't present before. The goal is to create ownership. Ownership in their own life, in their own management, in their own skill set as they move forward. Because we start now when they're in high school. And we want to do it while they're in high school because then they can add a little bit more when they're in college, and they have a plethora of different kinds of jobs, different kinds of experiences that will help take them to that post-college full-time work era, right? Or as with a lot of millennials, full-time, a lot of different jobs, 2 or 3 jobs full-time to create an income. The second thing that we do with this is that we prepare them for adulting. We teach them how to get a job. We teach them how to keep a job. We teach them what to do when there isn't enough money coming in, and what are the resources that you have besides, I'm just going to call Mom. Mom will send me some money. Mom always pays my bills. Dad pays my bills. Whatever. What to do when the money going out is bigger than the money coming in. Now, one of these managers who does the coffee shop was telling me that one of the consistent issues over and over again is working with these couple of girls who just complain that they never have any money. They absolutely never have any money. So when offered a new shift, they're like, no, I'm going to a concert. They haven't made that connection between, if you don't have enough money, you have to amp up your work schedule. Cause and effect, right? Or how to pay their bills. Another scenario is what happens when you're a responsible adult. You rent a house. You divide the house in 4. You rent 4 rooms out. And you're on the line every month for rent. And the first comes and one of your roommates doesn't pay. The 4th comes and you're like, tap, 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 I need that money. And the answer was, damn, I went shopping and I don't have it. So you're going to have to wait till I get it from my dad. And then listening to 2 and 3 days of arguing over the phone between this girl and her parents because she didn't have the money for rent. Meanwhile, that means that all of us who are carrying these bills, who are responsible, are stuck, right? And this is, thank you, Andre. He's putting some amazing stuff. This is really important. Really important is to learn how to resource. Where's money coming in? What do I do when there's not enough besides call Mom and Dad? We want them to learn how to do that now, right? The third piece is this entitlement. This is like, hey, I don't know what you're talking about, Mom. You put a card down and everything's always paid for. Or I never understand what your budget looks like. I don't even know I don't even know how you guys do it, and I don't really care because I have no invested interest. It creates on this entitlement thing this differentiation between classmates. It's sort of like, look at this guy. He works at the local grocery store. He's a bagger. Not okay. The other thing is this socioeconomic differences where there's kids who never have to work and they have really expensive clothes, they have cars, and they have no skill set on real life. They can't afford the lifestyle that you've created for them. They can't duplicate it, ever. And I think the statistics on a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Arts coming out of a 4-year school is a salary between $36,000 and $40,000. Start teaching your kids how to live on that kind of income by the time they take a car, maintenance, rent, utilities, cell phone. iPhones are $1,000. Start helping them take all of those things out of that $36,000 to $40,000, and you're starting to teach them what the real life is going to look like when they graduate. There's also this whole entitlement with stigma of brands. I'm a single mom, and there were times when I was really lucky to have clothes I could go to work in because there were, the money had to go in a lot of different directions. So I pooled it all with the kids, and we would make decisions as to what to do. What we discovered was that Target makes killer jeans. And I remember this mom, I was talking to her a couple weeks ago and saying, Target makes great jeans. And she goes, my daughter would never be caught dead in a pair of Target jeans. And I was like, wow. I wonder if she had to pay for her own jeans, what would happen? Because these are really important pieces to connect, which is how do you create the lifestyle you want at the budget that you can afford and do it on your own without dependent on mom and dad. So what we're looking at is breaking that dependence, whether it's at 15, 18, 20, 25, 30, so that you're not funding their bills. You're starting to create this. Another piece of this whole cause and effect is that those of us who are highly sensitive are always going to need to work on our own, whether it's in the arts, whether it's as creatives, whether it's in our own business at our own pace. So knowing that, what is really important in a high school and college era time of life is to teach them as many skills. They need skills, they need training, they need experiences, they need to know what works, they need to know what doesn't work, so that they can start to grab a hold of them and start to recreate them and find their own niche, find their own little tiny, oh, there's a huge hole in this area. If I fill that, then I can work on my own out of the house and do what I need to do. I can support my music, I can support my craft, I can support my skills. So as a sensitive, it means that you need a lot more time, so you start earlier. You know, at 15, what's it like to be in retail? You know, at 18, what's it like to be, you know, in an office in a back room doing all of the accounting or paperwork or inventory? You know, what kind of work suits you, keeps your cortisol levels balanced, right? So specific things on how to do this is that you start early. In fact, you start now, right? You start as early as you can. You start at 13, at 14, at 15, when there's babysitting, when there's lawns that can be did. And these are old 1950s concepts, but I'm telling you, right now, in some of these high-end towns, babysitters are going for $20 an hour on Friday and Saturday nights. This is something really simple to do. It means that your child has to give up their own social life in order to make money, and that's part of the real life. Also, you know, what we know is that during the holidays and during the summer, the help wanted signs are all over the stores. Everybody needs part-time work, so we start now. We sit down and we explore the expenses with your co-partner, with your co-parent, which is, what are we carrying for this kiddo, and what is it that we can start to transfer over, and what ones work. So at the minimal, their cell phone charges once a month are something that they can cover. And if they don't pay for it, their cell phone goes off. We have to have the courage to do that, which is, you're in charge of paying for this. And the real world is, you don't pay for it, you don't have it. You turn it off. You can add, as I said, car insurance, gas, maintenance. You can set up a budget on clothes. My mother, she's gonna hate that I said this, but we got into so many power struggles when I was in high school that she came up with $100 a month. She would pay for a coat and underwear for the year, and $100 a month, and whatever I could do on that was what I could do. Now, for some, that was an enormous amount. For me, after, you know, having months and years of power struggles with my mom, that $100 a month was hard because platforms were like $75. I'm dating myself. But come up with a budget. This is how much you have for clothes. Anything you want above and beyond that, you earn. You go find out. Find out what the thrift shops, what the consignment shops look like. Find out what Target jeans are all about, right? Reevaluate the whole idea of allowance. Allowance is aimed at saying, hey, I'm going to give you so much a month or so much a week to take care of your basic expenses. So maybe we reduce that down to meals for school and anything else, that entertainment, fun stuff, you know, trips with friends, concerts, whatever it is that our kids want, in addition to that they have to pay for. So look at the long term. You know, this is how we, as parents, we go, where do we want our kiddos to be at 25? Because not only do we want them to be prepared in high school, but we also want them to have some work experience that they can use, because you're going to need internships. You're going to need work experience in order to get a job out of college, or at least to start exploring what you want to do for a job, right? So you need skills and abilities, and you have to be able to learn them now. And then the work that we have as parents is that, you know, it's about boundaries, which is, this is how much I'm going to give you, and no matter how much you rail at me, how much you temper tantrum, how many difficulties you get into, that's all I'm going to give you, which is compassionate and loving, but firm. You know, with clear communication, open, I'm here to help you problem solve. I've been there. I know what happens when you have this much coming in and you have this much going out. I might have some skills that can help. And then always remember that your role is to empower your team. Your role is to notice what they're doing that's working and talk to that and encourage them and empower them and tell them they've got this and give them the skills that they have to turn around and be really responsible adults. So this is what I do. My early coaching was always about empowering young adults and working with parents on how to empower them. So this is the kind of stuff I love to do. If you're interested, look me up on DeniseDrydenCoaching.com and give me a call. We'll sit down and have a cup of tea and explore what wants to happen. So you have a wonderful Sunday. Have a wonderful rest of the week and take care. Bye-bye.